As you can tell by the title, this course is a preparatory course for setting up an e-commerce site with WordPress. As such, it's time we address the question of how well WordPress works as an e-commerce platform and what, if any, issues are going to arise when you make this decision. WordPress is one of the most popular web publishing platforms out there today, and its popularity is growing every day. That means there's a lot of information out there. There's also a lot of development and progress being made using WordPress, and that includes using WordPress as an e-commerce platform. If you want to use WordPress for e-commerce, you need to do so by adding a plugin. It's true, there are some themes that come with e-commerce built in, but I don't recommend using these because you may want to change the appearance of your site, and that's done in the theme. So if your theme is also managing the e-commerce component, it gets kind of tricky to work with. So having the e-commerce handled by a plugin and then using themes to style your site makes more sense. There are many different e-commerce plugins available, and you have to keep in mind that each of these plugins handles products differently, and in many cases, very differently. That means if you start off with one plugin, and then you build an entire site around it, and then you decide down the road that it's not the right one, and you want to switch, that might be a really difficult thing to do, and it might take a lot of time and effort. So if you pick a plugin, you should really do your research up front and then stick with it for as long as possible. Like I said, there are many different plugins available, and they also vary quite a lot in quality. So before picking a solution, make sure you've done your research and make sure that the plugin you're picking is currently supported and that it has a plan for the future. There's one important thing to remember when you publish content online, and it's also true for WordPress sites. WordPress sites, like any website, can get hacked, and if you don't pay attention and if you don't do proper security setups, it probably will get hacked if it gets popular. This is easily avoided by doing proper backups, staying up to date, adding the right security features, and locking down your site the right way, all of which I've talked about in this course, but it bears repeating. If you don't maintain your site, there's a good chance you will get hacked. And once you get hacked, getting all that stuff back to the way it should be can be really challenging. So make sure that you are up to date and that you are willing to take on the responsibility of managing a website. Before you choose WordPress as your e-commerce platform, consider alternatives. Managing an e-commerce platform on your own can be a lot of work, and you have to expect to spend quite a bit of time on this, both in setting it up and also in managing it from day to day, especially if you're doing a lot of sales. But that's the case for any e-commerce solution. If you're not ready to commit 100% to WordPress and setting aside the time necessary to manage an e-commerce site, you may want to look at alternatives like Shopify that provide the complete solution for you. All you have to do is put in the products and they will manage the products, they will give you the money. Everything else is handled on their end, so you don't have to set it up and you don't have to worry about the server configurations and the security and all this other stuff. It may have more operating expenses, but at the same time, you offset a lot of the frustration of handling a site from day to day. But on the other hand, if you want complete control and you want to use a platform that makes sense and that's easy to work with, WordPress for e-commerce is a great option. Finally, consider this. Currently, as I speak, there are people working on managed WordPress e-commerce solution. That means just like WordPress.com is a managed solution for having a WordPress blog, there are people that are working on solutions that serve up WordPress e-commerce as a service. That way, instead of setting up your own site, you simply sign into that service and pay whatever fee it costs, and then you can set up your own site through that service, and it'll be a WordPress e-commerce site, meaning it'll work just like WordPress on your server, except someone else is managing it. The bottom line is, if you want to build it yourself and you like WordPress, move forward. If not, investigate alternatives and make an informed decision. WordPress can be a great e-commerce platform, but it requires some serious work on your end. If you're ready for that, and the prospect of building an e-commerce site that is completely under your control appeals to you, jump right in.